Hey guys, this is Resonant, and I wanted to do a breakdown of my song Nostalgic for You, which dropped yesterday. And it's a really good song for me and very personal, and it means a lot. And I think it kind of encapsulates the kinds of themes that I'm tackling on the new album that drops on May 23rd. Um, just really, I think at the core of this song is the feeling of feeling someone else's pain and watching someone that you love go through stuff and knowing that you can't help them and just feeling the pain that they feel and just trying to relate to them. And the line that I used to kind of encapsulate that was that I feel it a fraction of the time feeling nostalgic for you. It's like you don't feel the same feelings they feel or as intensely as they do, but you do know what they're going through and you're trying to be there for them and work through it with them. And for this song, I wrote it while I was in the car with my sister, and we were talking about stuff and stuff that happened that was really sad and hard to go through, and just emotions that we were feeling. And I said that like whenever I like hear those things that you've gone through and you like telling those stories, I feel certain emotions that I can't really like express like a word for them. And I kind of like up with this phrase like I feel nostalgic for you because that's the only way I can say it. And it was kind of like, oh, that's a good word for it. So I kind of marked it down in my phone in like my song ideas little like pages folder and saved it for later. And I ended up writing this song, and I'm really proud of it and what I came up with, and it means a lot. And I'm really just proud that I was able to write this song and be able to convey those emotions, and that turned out this well, honestly, because I didn't know what it's gonna sound like or look like. But I think the biggest thing in the production of this song, which is what I'm here to break down, not the lyrics, that's for another time. But one thing about the production is that you hear. I mean, there are a lot of things like ear candies or like little instrumental things that you wouldn't really hear in like the production until you kind of step back and look at the project that I have pulled up right here. That you'd actually kind of like. I'm actually very like admiring of the production on this because of the little things that we were able to put together on this. And uh, we worked really hard to get this where it is, and a lot of electric guitar layers and little things, and the processing that we put on some of this stuff is really cool. So I guess I'll just like walk you guys through the song, open up all the folders. Sorry, I can't see through. Uh, and I guess start with this main keyboard because this keyboard little riff thingy is something that I came up with a little while ago, but I felt like it was so good it needed a song that was as good as the riff was and how as catchy and poppy. And um so this was kind of like the main riff that I came up with, and I just used the spacey keys preset that I made, which is just a lot of chorus, a lot of like tape saturation and flutter, and yeah, some distortion, and then just like muffling up the sound. And in space D, which is huge, especially for my sound, very spacey and atmospheric. And it really makes this like really like soft piano sound that's really cool. And this is kind of like the riff I came up with originally. I'll show you without any of the plugins so you can see what it sounds like. So yeah, that chorus is adding just a lot of doubling, and the 50% mix really helps because it kind of makes it seem like bigger and wider than it actually is. And you could kind of hear it when like I turned it on. So that's really cool. And yeah, so that's the main keyboard. And then um, one thing I will talk about is the little audio that you hear at the beginning. What I did is I dragged down a a like video from my laptop that I took on my phone like a year ago, and it's just like my grandpa was like playing a prank on like one of my family members. I don't remember who, and it's really them like explaining what the joke was because it was really funny, and everybody starts laughing. So I pulled down the audio, and then I all I did was just put like the vocal chain on it to make it more like crisp and clear, and then I put some distortion, a fast tremolo, so kind of like you can really like feel the sound, and then just some reverb. Which for the reverb, what I did was I automated the wet signal to turn up as it went along so that at the end it would kind of just like the reverb tail would kind of go out after the audio, so it would just add this like nice smooth transition into the song. um and then I did a volume automation to turn down the laughing part a little bit just because it felt too harsh, but other than that it's the same. And I'll show you this solo. It's really cool. Something different than we actually are. No, I wouldn't do that. We want no. And then doing it without any of the plugins, um, or anything like that. And then turn it up a little bit. Quiet. Something different than we actually are. No, I wouldn't do that. We want never. So yeah, and I'm really proud of that because I think it's a great way to open a song that feels naturally like nostalgic and melancholy and sad, and you're talking about how you perceive yourself, and um your friends moving on and moving away, and things changing, and then having kind of like an audio that kind of opens it up, that feels like this is the kind of song we're getting into, is a really really special thing for me. Ah, sorry. um and let me get into the drums because I love the drums that we came up with for this song. It's we used the Portland kit, and I had play um Charlie Jones, who is kind of like my primary drummer on like all of my songs. I had him play the kit back there, and just plugged it in and did like a MIDI thing. So we used the Portland kit, and he kind of played through the song, and then I played like the tom hits in here, which we'll get into, and I did some like hi-hat stuff just to fill it out after he was gone. And if I open this, you can see how like all of the hits are a little bit different and all of that, which is really cool because I felt like this song especially really needed like a human feel from the drums, just to kind of sit in that space of like human emotion and imperfection that I like to hide behind in all of my music. And this is kind of like the kit. Let me show you in the chorus. I love this fill that we did. Yeah, when I don't know what to say except if your drummer is pulling out drum fills like that on the snare, you kind of know this song is gonna hit, you know. So we got that, and I quantized it and everything, of course. But I mean, the way that the velocity of the hits is different on every one, and everything like that. I didn't want to take away from the humanity of the drumming, but um, it sticks out like a sore thumb if you hit it off time. And then just to add some rhythm and like the throughout the entire song, I just did like a shaker. And so I think for this one, I was really blending like alt rock with like West Coast pop, some bongos and some folk elements with like the tambourine shaker, percussion, and then just matching it with all the synths and stuff. So I'm really proud of how that turned out. And going to the vocals, I did an interesting thing on the vocals where this is just my main vocal chain. Um, and I did the space D. Um, I did an echo. So for this space reverb in particular, if you solo it, it feels more like a small space echo a than a reverb, and I felt like it kind of added like a tonal shift to the vocal, and it sounds really cool.
Others say not falling in love, honestly feeling his touch.
It just makes it feel wider and bigger, and it just has that like hollow sound naturally to the reverb. That's really cool. And then I added an echo with a tremolo, hard panning. So um, when you hear it, the echoes are going like this, and I thought that added a nice touch of like nobody really puts like tremolos on their echoes. I feel like, so I think it just added a layer of like just like cool little technique.
Others say not falling in love.
Of course, as a mixing engineer, you have to make sure that the echo and the tremolo doesn't like distract you from the song, which is a big thing, but I think it is a nice touch. And then just added like a long reverb, just a hint of one, just to add a little bit more space.
Others say not falling in love, honestly feeling his touch.
Yeah, so it just adds a little bit more. And yeah, so I really like the vocals on this one, and they're really cool. And then we did a little acoustic guitar thing in here that is really cool. And if you match it with like the song as it's going through, you can hear it.
Do you still miss his flags on Sunday? Going to Dutch Bros on those Mondays.
And I like the way that you can't really feel like the attack of hitting the string. It kind of just like flows into the note. And it adds this little like melancholic note. Like the keyboard is naturally feels happy. The vocals are the vocals. And this just added that little tone of melancholic sadness that this song definitely needed. And along with that, like this whole song is just one big build to a chorus that just explodes. Sorry. So every little thing, like, you know, adding a shaker. Okay, the shaker naturally has this drive that pulls it forward. And then you add in the kick that kind of like pushes it into this new space of like, okay, we're getting to the drums. And then you have this acoustic guitar that adds this layer of emotion and all of that. And then you can open it up to the chorus where you have this bass going, and then you just those different little things that kind of like this whole song's just building this entire time. So let me show you the song through the first verse so you can get a feeling of like the song if you haven't heard it yet, and then we can move on to the chorus and see like the bass and all that. Something different than we actually are. No, I wouldn't do it. We want to.
Father saying I was falling in love. Falling asleep, feeling his touch. Do you ever miss him at night? Knowing what you can't change about all this time. Do you still miss his flags on Sundays? Going to Dutch Bros on those Mondays. Blasting music on the highway. Never knowing someday will be different.
Yeah, so that's it. And for the vocals, I think going back to the vocals, um whenever I sing, like I don't have a pop filter, so I was listening to Phineas talking about his new album with the his band The Favors, and he was talking about how they sang all the lead vocals through like this handheld mic, and they said that they didn't use pop filters, so what they did is they sang over the top of the mic, and I thought that was interesting. So I started like trying to find ways where I can get my vocal out clean without needing a pop filter and not getting all those P's, those T's, those S's like in there. So actually, what I do is I place the mic just sitting on the table, and then I just hit record with my laptop right here, and I sing it like this, like right next to it. And I think that's nice because I feel like I want my vocals to have this very close, warm sound that almost feels like you're like in the listener's ear, like whispering or something. And I don't like to get loud in my vocals, a lot. I like to really just sit there and like just like really feel the lyrics as I'm singing them. So getting in right here, it feels like that's as close as I can get to like an intimate vocal sound, and it really helps here, especially when you're singing about heavy things like this, and having a vocal that's just intimate and like right here and emotional. Then you can feel like the lyrics really hit because the vocals are driving it home. So that was one thing. Um, and then getting to the bass, I used the same bass that I use all throughout my first album, the crunchy pop bass from Logic. And then I just used a basic EQ, take out some of the highs, and then add back a little bit of air, a little bit of cleanness, some of that. And then did about I do like 1 to 1.5 decibels of like bass boost. I take out the low end rumble around 40 hertz, and then I take out just some more of that low rumble unneeded area around 100. So and I wanted this bass to kind of like ripple through, especially with like a car speaker or just big like sub boomers. I really wanted this to like ripple through and to be able to feel the bass more than you can like hear the note. So pairing this with the keyboard, I don't know if you can hear it. I'm wearing headphones that really highlight bass frequencies, but so if you can feel it, you can feel it, and it's really cool. It's really special. Another thing is that there's an underlying chord under the little da 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 da, a little underlying chord. So we could have done the underlying note, but instead we decided to do the little da 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 on the bass, and I think it adds that little bit of movement in the bass that's really cool and very like melodic, and I think that adds a lot to the bass. So that's really cool. Um, and then getting to the guitars a little bit more, talking about getting to that second verse, we did these electric guitar things, and what we did is we 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 played it once, and then we copied it down and panned it like 30, so it's not directly in your ear, but it's about like right here. And then what I did is I did a pitch shift up 12 semitones, 100% mix, So I wanted it to sound like these, almost like these like high pitched voices in a way, like speaking to you, but it's an electric guitar, and I wanted to have a very like poppy influence and be just this little lick that kind of like brings you into this second verse and adds that little bit of energy. And this is what these sound like alone. And naturally, these electric guitars sound really trashy um, alone, but in the context of like the song and hearing it, this is what it sounds like.
Feeling nostalgic for you. Don't give.
And then it hits right into the second verse, and that's a really cool touch. That little electric guitar. Um, and then I added this pad, which I used on a demo song that isn't released yet. I haven't finished it. I really like it, but it's been tough finishing that song. And this it's a little pad that's made of like flutes, and it sounds like this. And I just added a tremolo so it bounces ear to ear softly, and then just did echo, delay, space so that it just kind of like fills the space. And I wanted it to sound like birds chirping, but like the flutes are so like imperfect that I thought it fit nicely with kind of the emotion of this second verse. And I wanted the verse to open up with some of these more atmospheric like synthy sounds. And this is what it sounds like.
Don't give in to the pressure.
It's not super noticeable, but you can definitely hear it, and it just adds this vibe of like peace, tranquility, melancholic sadness that really lifts this verse. And then I totally skipped over the best part. So this is the like post chorus.
I worry about you all the time. In the pain you went through, I feel a fraction of it at certain times. Feeling nostalgic for you.
So listening to the drums alone, you can really hear it. So what I wanted was I got an idea to just add bongos during this part and kind of have like a beat breakdown. And I think that was a great choice because the bongos really add this like again like acoustic stripped back vibe that's really cool. And then again just having the shaker in there for like a beat. And then we did the kick and just break down the beat to this. And and the big thing is I played the toms, and what I did is I just sat there, I hit record, and I was just hitting the high and mid tom like this on the beat, and then I just quantized it, and then I copied and pasted it, and then um, I separated it into high and mid, and then I panned it one left, one right, and then all I had to do was just make sure that the volume was a little bit lower than the kick, so it felt like it blended with the kick really well. But when you're wearing like headphones or something, you'd feel like the attack of the toms, like you'd have kick down the middle, you'd have toms, and it would kind of be like boom. And one thing I used to achieve that was adding a little bit of low end to it. not like so much that like it's what is it, competing with the kick, because the kick has to be the number one thing, but I wanted a little bit so you could feel the attack of the tom. And yeah, just listening to these three together, it's just really cool. And it's a little bit of like ear candy, but at the same time, like if the song feels so empty without this like presence of like a low end that's kind of like it's boxing you in, like right here. And I feel like that really that really like shows the emotion of like being trapped in those feelings and being trapped in your emotions and feeling like you can't get out and feeling like you're being attacked by this feeling and you can't escape it, and then just feeling like you're being attacked by these toms in your ears. You feel like trapped within like the music, and it's really cool. So you do those, and that's basically it for all I added in the second verse. And then we get into the chorus, and I think I want to start with the drums because all I did was add this tambourine. Um, I added this like kick sample, and I took out all the low end, and all I wanted was for it to sit on top of the kick and add this little bit of like air to it. You can see how it adds a little bit of that reverb and a little bit of just space. So we did that, and then add these claps, and what I added like a clap sample on top, and then um, we recorded just a bunch of claps layered on top of each other, and then I just pitch shifted them each, like one semitone here, one negative one semitone here, and then two for each one, and then it sounds like this. And I also like used an EQ to muffle the sound to make it feel like big. And those little pitch shifting just adds like a harmony to the clap. In a way, it makes it feel like it's a room of people, but I also didn't like pan the claps, so it feels like in the song, it feels like it's attacking you, just like right here, like At least to me, that's what it feels when I listen to the song. I don't know what it feels like to you guys. So we did that, and that's about it for the drums. And this is what it sounds like. Um, and then going to the bass, I had the original bass, which is just doing this. And then I got a synth bass into here. And this one is kind of like spread really wide to kind of cover this whole field. And it's super distorted. And I added like a chorus to just widen it a little bit. And I did like a basic like EQ thing. And just adding a lot of like more low end into this mix to like make this whole big bridge just open up. And then these sound like this together. So I really like that. It's really cool. I added this trumpet layer, which you guys might not have heard in the song. It's really low, but I feel like trumpets are really like triumphant and victorious in a way. So I wanted these to kind of be in there as that little bit of like hope that you're gonna make it out of this feeling, you're gonna make it out of these emotions, and that your life is going to be different, that everything's going to be okay. And this is what these sound like. Um, and all I did was just add some overdrive because I really like to have a little bit of a distorted bite on a trumpet. I think it sounds really nice. Just did EQ to clean it up a little bit. Did ensemble, which is basically like a subtle hint of artificial double tracking, and I just did like a basic space reverb and a saturation. Um, and then on the synths, you just have like the same thing, but I added this like little flute layer, and this is what that sounds like. In the context of the song, you can really hear it like peak out. And that tremolo again just helps it kind of peak out from the rest of the tracks because it's hitting your ear so hard. And it's a little bit of that high end that I feel like I'm missing throughout this entire song because it feels very low end and mid heavy. So I wanted a little bit of that high end to kind of peak out just to give it some extra layers. And then getting into the guitars, I think this layer started really taking shape when I ran this acoustic guitar thing through a bunch of like space and the candy fuzz like distortion pedal on here, and this is what it sounds like without that. I like the way it kind of pops out, and kind of like fails when it's like dun, dun, and it has that little bit of like a roughness on it, like in that distortion. I don't know if that's like the delay or something, but it really adds just this little bit of like bite. Really. And that it just adds so much, it feels like. And then we have the oh wait, no, those aren't in there. And then we have the original electric guitar lick that was in here, but I just had it at its normal pitch and I panned it off a little bit. As and I added just some drive and some fuzz and a Springbox reverb. And then I did a lead because, as Phineas always says, if you have something in this ear, it has to bounce with something in this ear. So then I did this electric guitar lead, which pans in this ear, and it sounds like this. And I pitch shifted it down because it was a little bit too high for me. This is what it sounds like, just normal. It just feels like it's attacking me, you know? You don't want that. So I just turned it down a little. And again, in that second half of the bridge, you need something to come in that just adds just that last muscle of energy before it just all drops out. And that was just a really nice touch for me. Um, and then you get into like the bigger distorted layers like this. It sounds terrible on its own, like that doesn't even fit in the song, but in context, it adds a little bit of like movement. So I like that. So I really like that. It's hidden way down for a reason, but again, it's just that little bit of like melodic difference. And then you finally have this layer. So you add in the, oh wait, one last thing. So I have this synth arp here that does this. And I just did a tremolo and all the normal things. I probably used tremolo too much, but you know. And then I did this last like just normal keyboard chords. I just played those myself. And it's just that whenever like the chord hits, you can hear it like in the music. You can hear this little bit of like a high end shimmer that kind of comes in and then slowly fades out and then comes in. And again, just adding that high end back. So listening to all the layers as I add them in, you can really tell. I'll add in the guitars last so you can hear everything. And then for the vocals, I forgot to talk about those. For the vocal, it was pretty simple. Just do all I did was just do a candy fuzz on it, and then turn down like the drive and the levels, so it just has that pure like raw distortion on it. And here's it without the candy fuzz on it.
You'll be alright. You'll be alright.
So there's that, and that's basically the whole song. And then everything just repeats, and then you hear the audio.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Why are you sitting in the chair? Yeah. They said I was gonna ride a motorcycle, so I have to.
I remember that. That's funny. Yeah, so that was basically that was the entire song. And that's all like the tracks and stuff. And I'll show you guys the lyrics as let me move my camera really quick just so I can let you guys see it. Where is it? There's uh, and then I'll play you guys the final version, and then I'll kind of talk you guys through the lyrics a little bit, and hopefully whoever watches this can have a more just have a deeper understanding of what the song means. So let's hear it, and I'll make sure to extend out all the layers. See it. All right, let's go.
Something different than we actually are.
No, I wouldn't do that.
We want.
saying I was falling in love, honestly feeling his touch. Do you ever miss him at night? Knowing what you can't change about all this time. Do you still miss his flags on Sundays? Going to Dutch Bros on those Mondays. Blasting music on the highway. Never known someday would be different. Miss them all the time. You talk about those times. You don't shed a tear anymore, but it hurts inside. I worry about you all the time, in the pain you went through. I feel a fraction of it at certain times, feeling nostalgic for you. Don't give in to the pressure that you always have to be good enough, that you always have to feel good, that you have to find love. You're scared to feel alone. You're scared you are right now. Don't cry about a good life. Just live your own. I worry about you all the time, in the pain you went through. I feel a fraction of it at certain times, feeling nostalgic for you.
No, not do another. Not do another.
Can I tell them what I'm doing?
Yeah, tell me. Tell me.
Why are you sitting in the chair?
Yeah.
Something different than.
Yeah, so that's the song. And again, I'm really proud of it. The emotions that I show and the feelings that I try to encapsulate are just so personal to me that I can't even tell you how much this song means to me. And um, I mean, this is a lot of what the album's going to be about. Just as a sneak peek, is um, just a lot of stories from my life, and the people and the places and the things that shaped me to be who I am today. Where I've gone, where I'm going, um, the things that I've personally dealt with, emotionally, the deepest fears that I have that I don't tell people about, things that my family has gone through emotionally that has bonded us close together, and the reason that I am what I am and that I act the way I act is going to be very prevalent in this album. I'm gonna be um, telling a lot of stories and showing a lot of emotions that I haven't shown to anybody, and it's a very personal album to me, and I'm glad that it's done, and um, I can kind of now sit with that music and kind of cope with all of those things before it comes out. But yeah, this is one of those songs that like really hits me, um, and it's just one of the stories that I tell, and I feel like once you listen to it in the context of the album, it'll make sense that this is what it is. Um, but I really love it, and talking about these lyrics are very personalized and they're not very vague. Um, they kind of like they talk about certain days or certain things or certain feelings that have been felt, um, and it kind of I feel like that opening line, that opening like stanza of the verse kind of says everything. Um, it's all about the way you open a song, and there has to be the right line, you know. And I feel like when I am done writing a song, like music wise, and like it's basically made, and it's time to do vocals. I feel like when I write a song, I'll listen to the song and kind of feel the vibe and kind of go over like how am I feeling at this time and what am I going through and all this. And um, obviously, if you look at the credits, I'm not the only guy that writes my songs. I have um, people that help me write songs lyrically and all that. But for this one, I wrote it and composed it solely like myself, which I'm proud of. And there's just this phrase stuck in my head, you know, besides the line that kind of encapsulates the whole thing and nostalgic for you. But just like I'll I'll just start recording and just say whatever comes to my head. And the first thing that I said was, "All those same nights found in love, found asleep feeling his touch. Do you ever miss him at night? Knowing what you can't change about all this time." Which wouldn't mean anything to a lot of people, but for me, it's this is about my sister and the things I feel for her and how deeply I feel things for her when she's hurt, and I want this song to feel like something for her, and she went through a breakup and all these things, and she felt a lot of like deep emotions for a long time, feeling worthless and um, all those things that come with breakups. Was it even worth it? Um, and I'm kind of just saying like it's been a long time since that happened. What are you thinking? Like do you still look at your life before and after and wish that it was different? Which for me is a heavy question because that forces you to look at your life and think, would I do it again? Number one, and number two, um, what about my perspective has changed since then? And do I wish that I did things differently? Do I wish I didn't say that? Do I wish that I did say this? Do I wish that I um, had better standards, or do I wish that I worked harder? Or and this can mean for anything, losing a job or falling out with your family. It can mean anything, and it can go for anything. And in this case, those are hard questions to answer for me. And in that second verse, do you still miss his face on Sundays? Going to Dutch Bros on those Mondays, blasting music on the highway, never knowing someday would be different. It's like that young love kind of aspect, along with the fact that she used to do this with all of her college friends. That now things are just different. They got married, they started families, and she's just kind of left missing those feelings and those past um, events and stories that'll never happen again. That was thunder. Um, and kind of just like and using those little bits of like detail and nuance kind of adds to the fact that I am telling a story and I'm talking about like real things here. And then the chorus, um, miss them all the time. Talk about those times you don't shed a tear anymore, but it hurts inside. I worry about you all the time. The pain you went through, I feel a fraction of it at certain time. Feel nostalgic for you. It's kind of like my little thing where I kind of say like I understand how you feel. I understand that these things aren't easy, that you really went through some stuff and you're still trying to get over it, you know? And it may never heal, but I worry about you. I care about you. I understand your pain and that I feel that pain for you every single time that you're sad or you're alone. And then in the second verse, it's a lot just talking to her about her fears and insecurities and sadnesses and kind of like the aftermaths of the fallouts and the breakups where you know she these fears and these emotions started to fester and grow, and I'm telling her that like it's okay to feel these things, but these lies that you tell yourself and these emotions you feel aren't real, they aren't true, and they aren't something to stake your life on. Just like don't worry about the life someone else is living. Live your own, which is the last two lines of the verse. Don't cry about a good life, just live your own. And it's kind of just like not like get over it because that's harsh and that's insensitive, but like the good life that everyone else is living, you're living that, and you need to worry about living your own life before you start worrying about the future and whether the future is going to hurt you or it's not good enough for you. And that's kind of like what I was trying to say. And then the bridge, you'll be all right, which is self-explanatory. And then ending it kind of with the post-chorus of kind of like feeling her pain. It's kind of that last like it sums up like this is what this song is about. This is what I'm trying to tell you. And what I'm trying to tell you is I feel your pain and I'm always here for you. And those are kind of like the breakdown of the lyrics in a general sense. But yeah, it's a personal song, really, and I feel emotions toward it that I couldn't explain. But I'm glad it's out, and I hope you guys listen to it and feel a newfound respect towards this song in a way. You guys, feel more respect for the instrumentation, the lyrics, the performances that are on this, and my album comes out May 23rd, and I'll see you guys then.